The courtroom is packed, buzzing with whispers and the shuffle of feet. The atmosphere is thick with anticipation and judgment, a space where power often reveals itself in sharp suits, gavel strikes, and the commanding voices of those in authority. At the center of the scene stands a black janitor, humble in appearance, his work clothes a stark contrast to the formal attire surrounding him. Despite his unassuming presence, he is about to deliver a moment that will resonate far beyond the courtroom walls. Before him sits the judge, a white man accustomed to wielding power and commanding respect. As the janitor steps forward to offer his testimony, the judge's reaction is immediate and scornful. A mocking laugh escapes him, filled with condescension and disbelief. With a dismissive gesture, he points at the janitor as if swatting away a bothersome fly, certain that the man's words are beneath notice. The courtroom mirrors the sentiment, many spectators echoing the judge's skepticism with narrowed eyes and whispered doubts. This moment captures the harsh reality of societal hierarchies and the biases that reinforce them. The janitor's role is seen as menial, his voice dismissed as irrelevant in a world where power and knowledge are often monopolized by the privileged. The judge's laughter is not just personal disdain, it symbolizes the broader system that undervalues those who don't fit the mold of traditional authority. But the janitor does not shrink back. There is no hesitation, no faltering in his stance. Instead, he responds with a quiet, unyielding confidence. He begins to quote the Constitution, not paraphrasing or summarizing, but reciting it verbatim. Each word is deliberate, precise, and imbued with a deep understanding of the rights and principles that govern the very court before them. The courtroom falls into stunned silence. The judge's laughter dies abruptly, replaced by a flicker of shock that quickly turns to disbelief. The power dynamic shifts palpably as the janitor's knowledge pierces through the veneer of authority. It becomes clear that beneath the janitor's modest exterior lies a reservoir of strength and intellect, one that commands respect and challenges assumptions. This act of reciting the Constitution is more than a demonstration of knowledge, it is a profound assertion of dignity and agency. The janitor refuses to be invisible, refuses to be marginalized simply because of his job or his appearance. By invoking the foundational document of American democracy, he stakes a claim not only to his own rights but to a universal truth, that every individual, regardless of status, holds inherent worth and power. The judge's reaction from mockery to shock embodies the discomfort that comes when deeply ingrained prejudices are confronted. The scene exposes the fragility of authority when it rests on ignorance and arrogance rather than fairness and respect. It also highlights the transformative power of knowledge as a tool for empowerment. For the janitor, this moment is a silent but powerful victory. He doesn't need to raise his voice or argue vehemently, his calm confidence and mastery of the law speak louder than any outburst could. His testimony becomes a beacon for those who feel unseen or underestimated, illustrating that true strength often lies beneath the surface, waiting to be recognized. The courtroom witnesses a subtle but significant change. The judge's demeanor softens, his smirk fading into a more respectful, if reluctant, acknowledgement. The spectators, too, are forced to re-evaluate their own biases. The janitor's words ripple through the room, shaking the foundations of prejudice and reminding everyone present that justice must be blind not only to color but to social standing. This narrative serves as a powerful reminder of the importance of knowledge and the courage it takes to wield it in the face of dismissiveness. It challenges the audience to question their own assumptions about who holds wisdom and authority, urging a more inclusive understanding of strength and legitimacy. Ultimately, the unseen strength is a story of quiet resilience. It celebrates those who refuse to be silenced or sidelined, who meet scorn with dignity and ignorance with truth. It is a testament to the power that lies in education and self-belief, and to the profound impact one individual can have simply by standing firm in their knowledge. In a society too often divided by status and prejudice, this moment encourages us all to look beyond appearances and to honor the unseen strength that resides within every person. Knowledge overcomes prejudice is a powerful narrative set within the confines of a courtroom, a place traditionally associated with authority, justice, and law. At its heart is a black janitor, someone perceived as low in the social hierarchy who dares to speak up in the presence of a white judge. The story highlights a clash not just of individuals but of entrenched power dynamics, prejudices, and the transformative power of knowledge. From the outset, the janitor faces blatant disrespect and condescension from the judge. The judge's laughter and dismissal, telling the janitor to save his wisdom for another time, reflect deep-seated prejudice and assumptions about the janitor's worth and intelligence. This moment exemplifies how societal roles and racial biases can create barriers, silencing voices that should be heard. The janitor's attempt to speak is seen as audacious, and the judge's ridicule aims to reaffirm the social hierarchy and maintain control. Yet, the janitor's reaction to this ridicule is both remarkable and dignified. Instead of withdrawing or reacting with anger, he remains unbothered, poised to assert himself. What follows is a quiet but powerful act of resistance. The janitor begins to quote the Constitution verbatim. This act is significant on multiple levels. The Constitution represents the foundational principles of American law and justice, and by invoking it directly, the janitor claims his rightful place in the conversation about rights and fairness. The room's stunned silence following the janitor's recitation marks a dramatic shift. The judge's disbelief signals a crack in his arrogance and assumptions. This moment shatters the prejudiced power dynamic that initially favored the judge, placing the janitor in a position of moral and intellectual authority. The story shows that knowledge rooted in education, awareness, and dignity can dismantle prejudice and challenge systemic inequality. Themes and messages. Several profound themes emerge from this story. Power of knowledge. The janitor's ability to quote the Constitution symbolizes the transformative power of education and knowledge. It highlights that wisdom and insight are not the exclusive domain of those in power but can come from anyone willing to learn and stand up for their rights. Challenging prejudice. The story confronts racial and social prejudices head-on. It exposes how people in positions of authority can dismiss or belittle others based on stereotypes, and how those biases can be overcome through assertiveness and factual truth. Dignity in resistance. The janitor's calm and respectful demeanor in the face of mockery models a form of resistance that is both dignified and effective. It underscores that standing firm with knowledge can be a powerful form of empowerment. Justice and equality. By invoking the Constitution, the janitor appeals to universal principles of justice, equality, and rights. This connection emphasizes that the law should protect all individuals equally, regardless of race or social status. Breaking social barriers. The narrative highlights the tension between social roles and individual capability. It challenges the notion that people's value is tied to their occupation or appearance, advocating instead for recognition of inherent worth. Emotional impact. The emotional resonance of the story is built on the tension between humiliation and triumph. The janitor's initial ridicule evokes sympathy and indignation, while his composed and powerful response inspires admiration and hope. The courtroom, a symbol of authority and judgment, becomes a stage where traditional hierarchies are questioned and overturned. The janitor's act of quoting the Constitution is a quiet rebellion that demands respect. It taps into a deep human desire for dignity and fairness, especially in environments where one is marginalized. The judge's stunned silence captures a moment of reckoning, a recognition that prejudice and arrogance can be dismantled by knowledge and integrity. This story inspires readers to value education and self-respect, and to stand firm in the face of discrimination. It serves as a reminder that empowerment often begins with understanding one's rights and having the courage to assert them. Broader societal context. Knowledge overcomes prejudice speaks to broader issues of systemic racism, social inequality, and the power dynamics embedded within institutions. It sheds light on the experiences of marginalized individuals who navigate spaces where they are often unseen or undervalued. The story also highlights the importance of civic education and awareness of rights. In a society that claims to uphold justice and equality, knowledge becomes a crucial tool for marginalized communities to claim their rightful place and demand fair treatment. By centering a janitor, a figure typically associated with menial labor and low status, the narrative challenges societal hierarchies and promotes a more inclusive view of intelligence and capability. It encourages readers to question their own biases and recognize the potential in every individual. The scene you describe, centered on a black janitor facing a white judge in a courtroom, is a profound exploration of dignity, justice, and the transformative power of silence paired with knowledge. At the outset, the janitor's attempt to give testimony is met with overt mockery and laughter, a stark illustration of the deep-seated prejudice and condescension that often pervades systems of power. The judge's dismissal and ridicule underscore not only personal arrogance but also the societal tendency to dismiss individuals based on their occupation, race, and perceived social standing. This moment captures the painful reality of marginalization, where one's voice is suppressed simply because of outward appearances and assumptions. Yet, what makes the scene compelling and powerful is the janitor's response. Instead of reacting with anger, frustration, or retreat, he remains calm and unshaken, embodying a quiet strength that contrasts sharply with the judge's derision. His composure itself becomes a form of resistance, a refusal to be diminished by prejudice or scorn. Then, in a moment that shifts the entire atmosphere of the courtroom, the janitor begins to quote the Constitution verbatim. This act is charged with symbolism and power, the very document that enshrines the principles of justice, equality, and the rule of law becomes a tool through which the marginalized reclaim authority and demand respect. The janitor's precise knowledge challenges the judge's assumption that he is unworthy of attention or incapable of meaningful contribution. It exposes the irony and injustice of a system where those entrusted with upholding the law are quick to silence those they deem inferior. The judge's initial smile, an expression of condescension, fades as the weight of the janitor's words sinks in. The stunned silence that follows reflects a profound reversal of power dynamics. The janitor, who was meant to be dismissed, now commands the courtroom's full attention. His unspoken strength, conveyed through calmness and command of the law, speaks volumes louder than any shouted protest or angry rebuttal could. This moment highlights the theme that true power often lies not in overt dominance but in the ability to remain grounded, knowledgeable, and composed in the face of adversity. It also serves as a critique of the superficial judgments based on race and class that permeate many institutions, showing how such biases are not only unjust but also easily dismantled by truth and integrity. The janitor's success in the scene is a testament to the dignity that comes from self-respect and the profound impact that knowledge can have when wielded with quiet confidence. Moreover, the judge's inability to respond verbally after being confronted with the janitor's constitutional recitation symbolizes the discomfort and vulnerability of those who wield authority unjustly. It is a powerful reminder that respect cannot be demanded through status or prejudice but must be earned through fairness and acknowledgement of every individual's humanity. This narrative also underscores the importance of voice, particularly the voices of those often marginalized or overlooked in society. The janitor's testimony is not just a personal victory but a representation of all those who have been silenced or underestimated because of their background or role. His presence and words challenge the audience to reconsider preconceived notions about who is entitled to speak and be heard. Ultimately, this scene celebrates the power of silence combined with substance, showing that courage need not be loud or confrontational to be effective. It calls attention to the enduring strength found in knowledge, dignity, and the steadfast refusal to be diminished by others' scorn. Through the janitor's composed defiance and command of the Constitution, the story delivers a powerful message about justice, equality, and the ability of individuals to assert their worth even in the most daunting circumstances. It is a poignant reminder that the true measure of a person's strength is not in their status or the power others grant them, but in their resilience, integrity, and the quiet confidence to stand up for what is right, transforming mockery into respect without uttering a single word more than necessary. Unseen wisdom takes place in the austere, formal environment of a courtroom, a setting traditionally associated with authority, hierarchy, and strict adherence to legal procedure. The story centers around a black janitor, a figure who, by his role and appearance, is typically relegated to the background, a person whom society often overlooks or dismisses. When the janitor attempts to present a defense, the reaction from the courtroom is immediate and harsh, epitomized by a white judge who mocks and ridicules him openly. The judge's laughter and condescension reflect deep-seated biases and assumptions about intelligence, worth, and the boundaries of who belongs in spaces of power. His smug dismissal of the janitor's attempt to speak illustrates a societal tendency to equate status and occupation with value and credibility, reinforcing barriers that prevent marginalized voices from being heard or taken seriously. However, the janitor's response to this ridicule is both surprising and transformative. Rather than reacting with anger or defensiveness, he chooses to remain calm and composed, embodying a quiet dignity that contrasts starkly with the judge's arrogance. This composure sets the stage for a powerful reversal of roles and expectations. The janitor begins to quote the Constitution verbatim, reciting the foundational document of American law and democracy with precision and authority. His unexpected knowledge shocks the courtroom and, most notably, the judge himself. The judge, who had positioned himself as the ultimate arbiter of law and order, finds himself momentarily speechless, forced to confront the uncomfortable truth that wisdom and understanding are not confined to those who hold formal positions of power or wear robes of office. This moment of stunned silence underscores a profound lesson, that intellectual depth and insight can be found in the most unlikely individuals, often hidden beneath appearances and societal labels. The story's impact lies in its challenge to societal norms and prejudices. By depicting a janitor, a role often associated with menial labor and invisibility, as someone deeply knowledgeable about the very laws the court is built upon, the narrative confronts viewers with their own assumptions about who holds wisdom and authority. The janitor's knowledge becomes a metaphor for the unseen strength and intelligence in marginalized communities, reminding us that value is not dictated by job titles, race, or social status. This revelation forces the judge and, by extension, the audience to reconsider the ways in which power and respect are distributed in society. It highlights the often unrecognized intellectual and moral resources present in those whom society tends to dismiss. Moreover, Unseen Wisdom explores the theme of power dynamics and how they can be disrupted by truth and knowledge. The judge's initial mockery represents a traditional power hierarchy that privileges certain voices while silencing others. But the janitor's calm assertion of constitutional knowledge destabilizes this hierarchy, demonstrating that true power lies in understanding, integrity, and the courage to speak up. His unexpected defense serves as a reminder that authority is not solely granted by position but can be earned through knowledge and moral conviction. This shift in power dynamics is particularly significant given the racial and social contexts implied by the characters, adding layers of meaning about systemic inequality and the potential for individuals to challenge and change oppressive structures. The emotional resonance of the story comes from this confrontation between appearance and reality, prejudice and truth. The judge's laughter and dismissiveness embody the arrogance of those who underestimate others based on superficial judgments. In contrast, the janitor's composed and authoritative response embodies resilience and dignity. The story suggests that wisdom does not always announce itself loudly but can emerge with quiet strength and undeniable force. This dynamic creates a compelling narrative tension that draws the audience into a reflection on fairness, respect, and the ways in which society values or fails to value different kinds of knowledge and experience. Ultimately, Unseen Wisdom is a story about recognition and the transformative power of knowledge. It encourages readers and viewers to look beyond external appearances and to honor the depth and complexity that reside in every individual. The janitor's ability to command the courtroom's attention and respect through his knowledge of the Constitution is a testament to the idea that education and wisdom are liberating forces that can transcend social barriers. It challenges entrenched hierarchies and calls for a more inclusive understanding of authority, one that recognizes the dignity and potential of every person, regardless of their role or background. In a broader social context, the story speaks to ongoing conversations about systemic racism, classism, and the marginalization of certain groups within legal and societal frameworks. It offers a hopeful vision of empowerment through knowledge and the possibility that truth and justice can emerge from the most unexpected places. The janitor's moment of triumph is not just personal but symbolic, representing a crack in the facade of exclusion and discrimination. His words echo as a call to action for greater awareness, empathy, and respect for the often invisible contributions of those society overlooks. In conclusion, Unseen Wisdom powerfully illustrates that true authority and respect come not from outward status or assumptions but from the courage to speak truth, the depth of knowledge, and the grace to do so with calm confidence. The story is a poignant reminder that beneath every surface lies a story, a reservoir of wisdom, and the potential to challenge injustice and transform perceptions. It urges us all to remain open to the unseen and unheard voices that hold profound truths capable of reshaping our understanding of power, justice, and humanity itself. Shifting the balance of power centers around a black janitor who finds himself unexpectedly called to testify in a courtroom dominated by authority figures who underestimate him based on his appearance and social status. From the moment he steps forward, the atmosphere is thick with condescension and disbelief, especially from the white judge presiding over the case. The judge's mocking tone and dismissive laughter from the courtroom audience reflect deeply ingrained prejudices, assuming that the janitor's testimony is irrelevant or unintelligent due to his job and race. Despite this hostile environment, the janitor stands firm, his composure unwavering as he begins to speak. When the judge scoffs and mocks, believing he holds all the power and that the janitor's words are beneath notice, the janitor surprises everyone by beginning to recite the Constitution verbatim, an exact, precise quotation that reveals his extensive knowledge of the law and the rights that govern the courtroom. The judge's confident grin slowly fades, replaced by disbelief and shock, as the courtroom is silenced by the unexpected depth of the janitor's understanding. This moment marks a profound shift in the power dynamics within the room. The janitor, previously dismissed and belittled, now commands respect and attention simply by wielding knowledge as his weapon. His testimony challenges the very assumptions that sought to marginalize him and exposes the arrogance of those who judged him by his job and skin color rather than his intellect and character. The courtroom witnesses a transformation where the balance of authority tilts, reminding all that true power lies not in titles or appearances but in truth, confidence, and the courage to assert one's voice. The story illustrates a powerful theme of resilience and empowerment, showing how marginalized individuals can reclaim agency in spaces designed to exclude them. It underscores the importance of education and self-awareness as tools to confront injustice and challenge systemic oppression. Through the janitor's calm yet authoritative presence, the narrative dismantles stereotypes and offers a powerful commentary on the dynamics of race, class, and power in society. This scene is a testament to how knowledge can serve as a great equalizer, granting respect and influence even in environments built to diminish certain voices. Ultimately, shifting the balance of power is about defying expectations, standing tall in the face of ridicule, and demonstrating that dignity and authority can come from the most unlikely places. It inspires reflection on how society judges others and emphasizes the transformative power of speaking one's truth with confidence and clarity. In a courtroom that should symbolize fairness, impartiality, and justice, a charged moment unfolds that exposes the deep-rooted biases still lurking beneath the surface of society. A black janitor, someone often overlooked and underestimated because of his job and social status, steps forward to give his testimony. His presence in such a formal and authoritative space challenges the unspoken hierarchies of power and respect that often govern who is heard and who is dismissed. From the outset, the white judge, embodying a position of authority and privilege, responds with dismissive laughter and mocking gestures. This reaction is not just personal disdain but a reflection of systemic racism and classism, the assumptions that someone like the janitor, based on race and occupation, is somehow unworthy of serious attention or respect. The judge's laughter is a stark reminder of how prejudice can distort the pursuit of justice, casting doubt on the credibility and worth of individuals based on superficial characteristics rather than the content of their character or the validity of their words. This moment illustrates how power dynamics in institutions often silence marginalized voices, reinforcing social inequalities. Yet, as the judge continues to mock, expecting perhaps to belittle the janitor into silence or submission, the janitor responds in a way that subverts expectations entirely. The janitor begins to quote the Constitution verbatim, his voice steady, unwavering, and filled with quiet authority. This act is both surprising and profound. It reveals that knowledge, dignity, and power do not belong exclusively to those in traditional positions of authority or privilege. The janitor's command of the Constitution, a symbol of the nation's ideals of justice, equality, and rights, forces everyone in the courtroom to pause and reconsider their assumptions. His words are not just a defense of himself but a reminder of the principles that should guide the courtroom and the broader society. The transformation in the courtroom's atmosphere is immediate and palpable. The judge's smug, dismissive expression fades into one of shock and discomfort as the reality of his own biases and the gravity of the janitor's knowledge become undeniable. The silence that falls over the room is heavy with the weight of this reckoning. The courtroom, a space often marked by formality and hierarchy, becomes a stage for a profound lesson in humility and respect. The janitor's testimony, elevated by his unexpected erudition, challenges the systemic prejudice that sought to silence him and demands recognition of his dignity and worth. This scene powerfully conveys the theme that true authority and respect come not from status or appearance but from knowledge, courage, and integrity. The janitor's ability to recite the Constitution perfectly, despite his marginalized social position, dismantles the stereotypes and prejudices that reduce individuals to caricatures based on race, occupation, or class. It highlights that empowerment often comes through education and self-respect, tools that enable individuals to assert their rights and humanity even in the face of hostility. Moreover, the moment acts as a broader metaphor for social justice and the ongoing struggle against systemic discrimination. It underscores the idea that those who have been historically marginalized or dismissed possess immense strength and wisdom, often hidden beneath layers of social invisibility. The janitor's act of quoting the Constitution is a reclaiming of space and voice, a declaration that the principles of equality and justice must be upheld for all, regardless of societal status. The judge's reaction serves as a mirror to society's broader failures. His initial laughter represents the entrenched attitudes that perpetuate inequality, while his eventual silence symbolizes the possibility of awareness and change. The moment of reckoning is not just personal but institutional, a challenge to the judiciary and society to confront their own biases and strive for true fairness and respect for all people. In addition, this scene is a testament to the power of knowledge as a tool of empowerment. It illustrates how education and awareness of one's rights can serve as a powerful defense against injustice. The janitor, often overlooked in daily life, wields the Constitution as a shield and a sword, asserting not only his own dignity but the foundational ideals of the nation. His voice breaks through the noise of prejudice and forces the courtroom and by extension, the audience to listen, reflect, and hopefully, to change. In conclusion, A Moment of Reckoning is a compelling narrative about dignity, knowledge, and the confrontation of prejudice. It shows how those dismissed by society can rise through the power of education and self-respect, challenging deeply ingrained biases and demanding justice. The janitor's testimony becomes a symbolic victory not only in the courtroom but as a broader call for equality, respect, and the acknowledgement of every individual's inherent worth. This story encourages us to question our assumptions, listen more deeply, and recognize the strength that often lies hidden beneath appearances. A fight for justice unfolds in the intense atmosphere of a courtroom, a place where truth, fairness, and the rule of law are meant to prevail. The story begins at a critical juncture in a trial involving a police officer, a case that likely carries high stakes and complex emotions for all involved. As the trial progresses, an unexpected and dramatic moment occurs. The police officer's lawyer suddenly abandons him, leaving the officer defenseless and vulnerable in a room filled with tension, expectation, and uncertainty. This sudden abandonment not only threatens the integrity of the trial but also creates a power vacuum at a time when defense is most crucial. The courtroom, caught off guard, falls into a heavy silence, a pause pregnant with anxiety and disbelief. Into this charged moment steps a black teenage girl, an unlikely figure in this legal battleground. The narrative places her at the center, where assumptions about age, race, and experience could easily diminish her perceived authority and capacity to make a difference. Yet, with unwavering resolve, she breaks the silence and boldly declares, "I will defend him." Her voice cuts through the tension, a beacon of courage and conviction that shocks and inspires everyone present. This act of bravery instantly shifts the dynamics of the courtroom. No longer is the officer alone, now, someone unexpected has stepped forward to champion justice. Her intervention challenges the deeply rooted assumptions about who is qualified to seek justice and what form that defense might take. The girl's decision to defend the police officer transcends typical courtroom drama. It speaks to a larger, universal message about courage, justice, and the power of individual action. In a world where justice systems can be intimidating and exclusionary, especially to young people and marginalized communities, her stance exemplifies the idea that standing up for what is right is not the sole responsibility of lawyers, officials, or those traditionally empowered. Instead, justice belongs to everyone, and anyone willing to speak out with integrity can make a profound impact. Her presence in the courtroom becomes symbolic of a new kind of advocacy, one grounded in moral courage rather than credentials. The story also explores themes of breaking stereotypes and confronting societal biases. A black teenage girl, especially in a high-pressure legal context, is often underestimated or overlooked. The courtroom's reaction, likely a mix of surprise, skepticism, and eventual respect, mirrors the wider societal tendency to underestimate the voices of young people and minorities. Her ability to rise above these biases and deliver a defense that changes the course of the trial challenges the audience to reconsider their own prejudices. It invites reflection on the ways in which society limits who is heard and who is empowered to participate in critical conversations about justice. Her defense itself, while not described in detail, is implied to be compelling and effective. This underscores an important truth: the power of truth, passion, and knowledge can transcend formal training and experience. The girl's approach is a reminder that preparation, insight, and the willingness to stand firm can rival institutional authority. It also suggests that sometimes, justice requires fresh perspectives, voices that bring new energy and understanding to entrenched systems. Moreover, a fight for justice highlights the transformative power of bravery. The girl's declaration is not just an assertion of willingness to defend, it is a moment of empowerment that reverberates beyond the courtroom. It demonstrates how a single act of courage can inspire change and hope, challenging others to reconsider what is possible. Her action embodies the belief that justice is a living, breathing ideal that must be actively pursued and protected by all members of society. This story also speaks to the intersectionality of identity and activism. As a Black teenage girl, the protagonist represents multiple dimensions of marginalization, yet she refuses to be defined or limited by them. Instead, she uses her position to make a tangible difference, embodying the potential of youth and marginalized voices to enact change even in spaces traditionally dominated by older, more privileged individuals. Her role in the trial becomes a powerful metaphor for the need to democratize justice and empower those who have historically been excluded from legal and political processes. Finally, the story is a call to action. It urges everyone, regardless of background or status, to recognize their potential to stand up for what is right. Justice is not an abstract concept reserved for a select few, it is a collective responsibility that requires courage and participation from all. The girl's bold step forward reminds us that moments of crisis often reveal hidden strengths and unexpected heroes. It challenges the audience to consider what they might do if placed in a similar position and encourages a more inclusive and active approach to justice in everyday life. In conclusion, A Fight for Justice is a powerful narrative about courage, empowerment, and the redefinition of who can fight for fairness and truth. Through the brave actions of a Black teenage girl in a pivotal courtroom moment, it challenges stereotypes, highlights the importance of individual agency, and celebrates the idea that justice is a cause worth defending by anyone willing to take a stand. This story inspires hope and invites reflection on the power of courage to transform not only individual lives but entire systems. The scene where a police officer's lawyer abruptly walks out of the courtroom, leaving the officer vulnerable and defenseless, sets the stage for a moment charged with tension and uncertainty. The courtroom, usually a place governed by order and procedure, falls into stunned silence as everyone processes the sudden shift. This unexpected event exposes the fragility of the legal process and the reliance on advocates who can navigate the complexities of justice. However, it is from this moment of despair and disbelief that an extraordinary act of courage emerges: a Black teenage girl rising from the back of the room, boldly declaring, "I will defend him." This declaration is striking not only because of the suddenness and confidence with which she speaks but also because of her unexpected identity in a setting that may not traditionally envision someone like her stepping into such a critical role. Her stepping up to the podium signifies more than just a literal act of defending a man, it symbolizes the breaking of barriers and the emergence of new voices in spaces where they are often unheard or underestimated. The courtroom dynamics immediately shift as her passion and integrity become the driving force of the defense, turning what seemed like a lost cause into a compelling fight for justice. Her defense is not just legal argumentation but a testament to the power of conviction, preparation, and belief in fairness. It highlights that strength and heroism do not always come from those expected or from positions of authority but can arise from anyone willing to stand up and act when it matters most. This young girl's courage to fill a void left by abandonment illustrates a profound lesson about the diverse forms that strength can take. It is a reminder that heroism is often found in moments of vulnerability, when someone chooses to act despite uncertainty and potential risk. Her presence challenges stereotypes about youth, race, and capability, showcasing that determination and moral clarity can empower even the most unlikely individuals to become beacons of hope and agents of change. The story resonates on multiple levels. It touches on the themes of justice and fairness, emphasizing the importance of advocates who are willing to speak up for others. It speaks to the power of self-belief and preparation, illustrating how one can rise to a challenge with courage and authenticity, and it serves as a commentary on societal expectations, reminding us that heroes are not confined to traditional roles or backgrounds. Moreover, this narrative invites reflection on the broader implications of empowerment and representation. The girl's decisive action inspires not only those within the courtroom but also those who witness her bravery indirectly, sending a powerful message that agency and leadership can come from anyone, regardless of age, race, or circumstance. Her defense changes the entire atmosphere of the trial from one of impending defeat to one filled with renewed hope and possibility, illustrating how a single act of courage can ripple outward and transform situations. Ultimately, this story encapsulates the profound impact of standing up for what is right, even in the face of daunting odds, and serves as a reminder that sometimes, the most unlikely people become the heroes in our lives. It challenges us to rethink who we see as leaders and defenders of justice and encourages us to embrace the potential within every individual to effect meaningful change. The young girl's leap into an unexpected role is a testament to the human spirit's capacity to rise above fear and doubt, embodying the essence of resilience, passion, and integrity. It is an inspiring narrative that affirms that true strength lies not just in power or position but in the willingness to act boldly and stand firm in one's convictions, even when the world doubts or underestimates you. Silencing the Mockery unfolds within the solemn and often intimidating atmosphere of a courtroom, a place where authority and power traditionally reside with the judges, lawyers, and officials. In this setting, a black janitor finds himself courageously stepping forward to testify, despite the sharp skepticism and overt disdain from a white judge who openly mocks him. The judge's laughter and dismissive attitude reveal a harsh truth about societal prejudices. People are frequently judged and underestimated based on their appearance, occupation, or perceived social status rather than their actual knowledge or worth. The janitor, who might be dismissed by many as inconsequential or unworthy of attention, refuses to be silenced by this mockery. Instead of reacting with anger or retreating, he calmly begins to quote the Constitution verbatim, demonstrating a level of wisdom and understanding that shocks the courtroom. This moment is a powerful turning point. The judge's laughter dies away, replaced by stunned silence, as the janitor's words resonate with undeniable authority. The entire room is drawn into the strength of his testimony, forced to confront their own biases and recognize that true knowledge and respect are not confined to titles, clothes, or social standing. The janitor's quiet strength and command over the law serve as a potent reminder that wisdom and dignity come from within and that every individual, regardless of their role or appearance, has the potential to impact even the most rigid institutions. This story challenges deep-seated assumptions about power and intelligence, advocating for a more just and equitable recognition of people's contributions. It underscores the importance of listening carefully and respectfully to voices that might otherwise be ignored or marginalized. Ultimately, silencing the mockery is a testament to the power of courage, knowledge, and self-respect in the face of condescension and prejudice. It reminds us that true authority is earned through substance and character, not through outward status, and that moments of quiet defiance can dismantle the loudest of prejudices, commanding respect in even the most unlikely of places.